Hello, it's Barbara Crowhurst, CEO of Retail Makeover. Our webinar topic today is Kickstarting Your Business. It's the year for retail success. There are two sections. We've decided to break up the sections for you. Part one will take approximately in and around 2 hours, and then part two is approximately an hour and a quarter. We'll take a break in between, and you can pick up part two actually at your convenience. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today and working on your business. Now let's get started. I want to share with you the Plan for Success Part 1. What I'm going to be covering in this section is the financial and other reports that are important to you in your business. The Open to Thrive system, you're going to love that. It's going to set you free in so many different ways. We look at marketing plans that make sense for today's business model, both traditional and versus social media, what you should be paying attention to, how you should be spending your money. We're going to look at pricing for profit. We're going to look at increasing sales. We're going to look at point of sale systems and why they're important to your business and why you need to consider, if you don't have a point of sale, getting it as soon as possible. We're going to look at improving margins, and I'm going to share with you some great tips here, and the whole importance of planning. Retail is a roller coaster. I found this picture when I was getting ready for this webinar and thought, this is perfect. We've got one roller coaster at a lower level with a much larger swoops and less adrenaline happening changes, and then we have that other roller coaster that is just, oh my gosh. To be on this roller coaster ride that's retail, you have to be self-motivated. Yeah, the buck stops at your desk, on your shoulders. And what I know for sure is that motivation can come in many different ways or from many different places. And that when you're armed with knowing what you need to do, you are more motivated because you're not second guessing yourself all the time. And I'm here to share with you ideas on how to do things differently. And when you know what you should be doing or know better, you do better. I know that 100%. So I promise a level of motivation that maybe you haven't felt in a long while. I'm going to share with you why a smart plan is helpful to you. I'm going to talk about what makes a smart plan. Knowing what you can do differently is vitally important to you and your business at this time, whether you're listening to me and it's the first quarter of the year, the second, the third, or the fourth. And what we know for sure together, that when we embrace change, we've come a long way. And again, just there is in our lives, change is constant. Change is the only thing that we're guaranteed. Embracing change in business is a very important strategy for us. Why a plan? The plan is important to us as right now, we're here to discuss, I as your business coach, you as participating in the webinar. Everything is on the table for discussion. We may or may not know how important goal setting is in our business, but I'm here to share this with you that it is very important. And it has to be specific, which is the first letter in the word SMART. And I will give you many specific ideas throughout our time together, and that you must be able to measure what has happened, what is happening now in comparison to what has happened in the previous years. Also measurable. What else is measurable? By setting goals for the future. So projecting goals. M for measurable. A, attainable. I will never, ever share with you and never ask you to plan for anything that's not possible for you to do. Why would I do that? I want you to succeed. I have your back. Dedicate my whole life to being a retail business coach, and I know that it can be done. I've had so much success over the years in working with retailers that I know what I'm sharing with you is attainable. And that your goal setting is relevant to your business, and I promise you it is. Everything I share with you can be incorporated into your goals, and it is relevant to you. The whole idea of setting the goals in front of us and then being accountable and being time-bound is very important. Because, again, working with a business coach, you're given homework. There's lots of homework out of this, ladies and gentlemen, so be prepared. And that I'm going to give you some very specific instructions as to this has to be done now, this has to be done within this period of time. So, again, it's all about why a plan, because it's an important strategy for you. And, yes, within the last letter of SMART, we are time-bound to accomplishing it within a reasonable amount of this year. What I know for sure is that there are things that you have absolutely no control over, and we're not going to waste our time trying to figure it out. You know, major conditions such as the economy, we have absolutely nothing that we can do about it unless it comes to who we vote for. And so that's political. We're not going to go there. We have no control over the weather other than in the last several years, what I've noticed as a business coach is that I'm more and more looking to the Farmer's Almanac to look for what the weather is going to be like in certain areas of the country where I coach, and I coach all over North America, Mexico, South America, the Caribbean, South America, South Africa, my gosh, and beyond. It's just phenomenal how blessed I am to work with very talented retailers who want to do better. And the weather matters. The weather matters because it changes the traffic patterns of the consumer. It alerts the retailers as to what they should be carrying based on the weather. So Farmer's Almanac, really good thing to put in our bag of tricks and to use as a reference point. We have no control over area redevelopment. For those of you who are either in or going into area redevelopment that will affect your business, you know that you have very little control over what is going to happen. But here, I'm here to share with you. I want you to be aware of what's going to happen, and I want you to be that conduit to your customers, to telling your customers what is going to happen in regards to the redevelopment that is going on in your area. And tell your customer how you are going to continue connecting with them and having them not only be the valued customers that they are to you, but providing the services and selling the products that you do, that your customers have grown to count on. You're going to tell them how that's not going to change and what you're going to do. Of course, there's always other issues that are unique to your business. You keep adding this to your list and seeing if there's nothing you can do about it, let it go. I love this because this slide shares with you what I feel about what you have full control over, and that is managing your business. I'm going to give you the tools that you will be able to take away with you today that will help you manage your business more effectively. Now, some of you will hear things that I will share with you that you're already doing. I'm so excited when that happens to businesses that join my webinars, because that is a sure affirmation that you're on the right track. Embrace that and go, wow, we're doing that. And start to focus in on things that I'm sharing with you that you don't do, that you need to do. For those of you where everything is brand new, know that I'm bringing it, with full heart, that I've dedicated my whole life to helping retailers do their very best. And I also want you to do your best as well. Today, this webinar is all about you. I've dedicated myself through the information that I've put together for you to help you be the very best that you can be. You'll see at the very end, my last slide, at part 1 and part 2 says, let's work together. Let's start paying you better than you have ever paid yourself before. Because I know you, many of you, don't pay yourself enough, and I'm here dedicated to making that turnaround for you. Okay, we're going to start with the hard parts first. Reports. Reports are important in your business structure. Let's go and see which reports are the most important and why that is so. Let's have a look here. What is the profit and loss report? Well, I identified immediately as being one of the best financial reports that you can possibly look at, because a profit and loss report, referred to as a P&L, is a report that shows your total income and your total expenses in a specific period of time. It's a really useful report as it shows you your net profit or loss based on your income and expenses. And yes, I'm recommending that you review this monthly. My concern for some of you as you listen to what I'm sharing with you here, that you haven't seen a P&L report for a long time. There are people within your influence, meaning maybe an accountant, perhaps maybe a bookkeeper, that is not keeping up the information required to generate these reports. You haven't been specific as to asking for this report on a regular basis. Things have to change. People who you're paying to do this for you, not doing a good job, get rid of them if they can't step up to the plate. But in order for you to move forward, in order for you to know what's going on in your business, you have to see this report monthly. Let's look at a few other top financial reports. The next one on our list here is an income statement. This shows the revenue, expenses, and profit and loss of your company for a specific period of time. Although it's a different kind of report, it's very much like the P&L report. And I want you to review it monthly. For those of you who have been reviewing income statements and as part of your history, as part of what you do, I'm not going to make you change to a P&L, but just be aware, for those of you who wondered what an income statement was, I prefer P&L report. It's one that I don't have a problem reviewing income statements, but the P&L report, to me, it's formatted in a way that I think it's easier for the average retail business person to look at. Monthly reviews here, ladies and gentlemen. Balance sheets, why are they important to your business and why I need you to have this report in hand on a monthly basis? Because it shows the financial position of your company on a specific date, including the assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. look at these reports monthly. Further on, some more top financial reports. We have cash flow statements. Why is this report important? Well, it is. It's very important. This statement reports the cash generated and used during the time interval specified in its heading. So you type that in, last 30 days. What does Barb want me to do? She wants me to look at my cash flow statement monthly. Now, again, depending on who's preparing these reports for you, they can be holding this information hostage. You can as well not want to invest money in these types of reports, and that is not in your best interest. You're going to promise me that you've invested this time, you're here listening to what I have to share with you on this webinar, and you are going to change how you do things because you see how important it is to know what's going on, and then to make the necessary adjustments. A statement of owner's equity shows the equity you have in your business on a specific date. Equity is basically the value of the investment you have in your company. You need to know what that is. You need to see if that particular value of the investment is growing and whether it is disproportionate to what is going on in the day-to-day. Please don't bury your head in the sand here. I want you to review it quarterly, and I want you to act accordingly. Again, if you're the business that is hearing my voice and saying, Barbara, I don't even know what all this means, you need to contact us here at Retail Makeover and let me review these reports with you and identify the state of your business and to help you understand what all of these numbers mean. Okay? We're getting into some more reports, but now we're looking at operating reports. You need to know what your daily sales are, and yes, daily. And you also need to set your daily sales goals. So without knowing what your history has been in the past, you cannot possibly identify what they should be in the future and in the now. I work with clients in three different ways. We review history to see what's worked, what hasn't. We then work together to project the future, which is important because, again, in setting those goals for the future, we know where we have to work towards, we know where we have our focus is, and we look to the day that we have, that we're on top of, the day that is. Those are the three areas of work with a retail business coach and what we're going to be doing today together. Another operating report that's really important is average sale. Now, you can't cherry pick these ideas, ladies and gentlemen. You need to track daily sales. You need to calculate your average sales each day by tracking them as well. Average sales are very easily calculated. You take the full day's sales and you divide it by the number of transactions at the till. That gives you your average sale. And yes, I come to your store, I should be able to look at your average sale from yesterday, from the day before, any day from the week before, the month before, the year before. Those numbers are there. In a very short time, we're going to be working on a business model, and I will show you how one of the many ways to use the average sale report. Okay, you're going to love this. Conversion rates, very misunderstood. I think what really concerns me is that, ladies and gentlemen, we are not counting how many people come into our store daily. I don't know why we're not doing this. There's so many stores. I mean, they use the pieces of equipment also to reduce shrinkage or theft, but conversion rates are important for retailers to see how well their marketing is working, to see how many people are coming in, so that we can then decide whether we have enough traffic through whatever current marketing strategies we have to be able to sustain the sales that we need. So this is what you're going to do from this day forward. Whether you have to count it manually or you're going to contact me at retailmakeoverca@gmail.com. You are going to then ask me, Barbara, I've chosen not to count manually. Do you have any equipment that I could be shown that I could buy so I can start counting people that come through my doors? And the answer is yes, there is equipment that we have found that we'll be very glad to share with you. Okay? So every single day you are going to calculate your conversion rates by doing the very best that you can and counting who comes in, and then taking the number of people who have closed at your till, dividing one number into the other one, so the traffic gets divided by the number of sales at the till, and you then get your percentage of conversion. All right? Another really important report. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients. So who are those current best customers, and do you have a report on them? Their name and their contact information. How about how much they've purchased from you? When was the last time they came in? What do they love? What do they wish they could buy from you? What else do you want to know about your best customers beyond that the 20% of those of your customer list or base gives you 80% of your business? Very important for you to know this, okay? Matter of fact, I'm going to share something with you here. I get invited to be part of a lot of selling retail businesses or buying retail businesses, and under goodwill, I will always find an inflated number. And when I start poking around and saying, well, how many customers do you have in regards to all this goodwill that you want paid for on the purchase or the sale of the business? And when they go, well, we don't know who our customer is, I walk away from that, because it is within being able to contact your customers and saying, so-and-so, I'm either selling my business or so-and-so is either buying my business, and, I highly recommend that you support this particular business buying my business, because you will get the same service that I've provided, same product that I've been selling. Okay? Best customer report. Get that started. Customers you haven't seen for a while, why would you want to see that report? Well, that report would then tell you who you should be contacting. Picking up the phone, sending an email, sending a text, sending out social media, doing a tweet saying, I haven't seen you for a while. Where have you been? We've missed you. We can hardly wait to see you again. And this is why it's a good idea for you to come into the store. Later on in our time together here on the webinar, I'm going to teach you how to write a promotional calendar. Perfect feed into one another. You want to know why customers walk out. And this report can be easily generated. You can download on our website, again at retailmakeover.ca, you can download a to-do list. And on that to-do list, which should be published daily, it should have a lot of information. But one of the things that I want to see is, why do customers walk out? This should be recorded. They walked out because we didn't have the product. Well, if that starts to become an accumulating issue, ladies and gentlemen, get the product that the client is asking for. Why wouldn't you want to test that? If it's not the product, or maybe the product in a combination of it's the wrong price. Our prices are too high for this repeating new kind of customer that's walking in the door asking for a better price point. Why wouldn't you offer a wider price point if you could get that customer to stay in your store and shop? Huge report, why customers walk out. What I wouldn't want to see on this report, but I see too often, ladies and gentlemen, is staff, and perhaps maybe even you yourself, writing down, remembering, customers walked out because they were just looking. What that says to me as a trainer, as a coach, really just looking, or did you not engage properly with the customer? That requires thought, that requires an understanding of how important it is to engage. It'd be my great pleasure to, at some other point, teach you how to engage with the customer more effectively, right? Now, let's have a look at referrals. And a referral report gets connected to the referral program that I'm going to share with you when we look at your marketing portfolio. All right? And we're going to leave it at there. Again, you have to do this. You have to have a referral program. You have to generate a referral report. And I'm going to share with you the details when we get into that other section. Okay? More reports. More operating reports. Inventory. Many of you don't embrace inventory reports or even understand that you need them. I'm going to give you some interesting takeaways on this one. Any product that has been in your store for more than 12 months, ladies and gentlemen, gets invited to leave the store. What it says to me is that you, number one, may have overbought for that period. Learning how to buy correctly against projected sales is going to be something you and I are going to cover when I go to the Retail Makeover Open to Thrive system. You're going to love what I have to share with you there. But again, back to what's at hand. Inventory that has been in your store for more than 12 months and that you've given every opportunity to sell, meaning you have promoted it correctly inside and outside of your store, online, through social media, through traditional marketing, if that's part of a strategy that's still working for you. So promoted it correctly. It seems to be the price point that your customer wants. Maybe even a product that you think the customer wants, but you're not sure. You've merchandised it correctly, and still, it's on your shelf 12 months later. Let it go. The test is over. Invited to leave. The only other thing that I can share with you about inventory that doesn't sell, even though it had all the earmarks that it would, is that your staff is not engaged. For whatever reason, they are prejudiced against the product. It could be the price, it could be the color, it could be the product type. And you have not engaged your staff to support your product and to be enthusiastic about everything you sell. That's the key. When they're enthusiastic about your inventory, ladies and gentlemen, guess what happens? The product flies out the door. So get that going. Stop tying money up in product beyond your calendar or fiscal year. What's the point? You're working into another year's business model. Why would you do that? Stop doing that. Special order reports. This generated on a regular basis starts to show with you if there's a shift in the way that maybe you're not doing things properly. Meaning you don't have the stock on hand when customers want to buy it and they're having to wait for it to come in. Does this make sense? Do customers want to do that, or do they get annoyed at having to wait? You have to weigh all this out. Have a look at this report and decide whether you're handling things properly. Not enough retailers look at margin reports. It's another really important operational report. What it shows what you have paid for a product because you've entered it correctly into your system. And it also shows what you finally sold the product for. And that's an important piece of information for you, okay? You're going to start to generate margin reports, and I'm going to request that you look at a margin report at a minimum once a month. Some of you who are already doing that might go, Barbara, where do I go with that? You go to once a week, okay? Sales by employee reports are important because what they do is they start to show you who the team players are. It shows you who's contributing to the bottom line. I don't mean to set this up as an issue so that, we've got friction between employees. What this is meant to do for you is to see who needs help, who needs your support, who needs some coaching, who needs to know how to be a better salesperson that's working for you, sales by employee. Sales by category and sales by item as sales by supplier are important reports to look at as you look to whether categories are performing, whether you continue to, or whether you should be continuing to support the categories you carry because the sales are there. Without this kind of analytic, I promise you, you can have an instinct, you can have an intuition, but you need to be looking at actual numbers. How often? Sales by category should be reviewed monthly. Sales by item monthly, yeah, I know that's a painful thing because many of you carry many different items. So at a minimum, I'm going to request that you look at it quarterly. Now, reports that are generated and the tagline is sales by supplier. This has everything to do with you, let's say before you go to a show, perhaps before you go to your next buying op with a rep, that you want to see how that supplier ranks against the others, how their categories are doing and how the items within their categories are doing as well. Go prepared with great information and you'll have a much more successful buying event. Let's leave reports. Leave that in your good hands. Remember, you must start to work on getting the reports you need. And let's look at how to increase sales in this next section. So I'm going to request that we work on business models together in different ways based on the numbers I'm going to share with you. Okay, but let's start here. You have to set yearly, monthly, and daily sales targets. How do you do that? We're going to start with yearly. You set a yearly sales target at the beginning of, and I'm going to say a calendar year. Even though you're maybe fiscal, I need you to think yearly and on the calendar. It just makes more sense because we line it up against consumer spending. We're going to look at the year previous. We're going to see what you did. And then we're going to set a target for this year, this year. And we're going to set a percentage increase year on year of 20%. That is the minimum, ladies and gentlemen, what I need you to be working on. Okay? Many of you can hardly believe that I would set it that high, especially if you have never worked with me before, but I promise you that at a minimum this can be done. I'll show you how. So beyond setting the target for the entire year, based on what happened last year, plus 20%, you are then going to review monthly sales from the previous year and add 20% to the monthly sales targets for this year. And then eventually you're going to drill down all this information to daily sales targets. It doesn't make sense to look at this calendar date last year and say, that is how I'm going to set my daily sales targets, because the day of the week can easily fall on a different day. So what I'm recommending, eventually after you do your month review of the previous year and set the 20% increase on the months that you are doing the stats on and projecting, you're going to eventually come to the weekly sales, and you're going to say, we're open so many days in that week. We need to match last year's weekly targets, and then divide the number of days that we are open that week, and then set the daily sales target no matter what the date is. That's the easiest way to do that. All right? We're looking at setting goals for each staff member. And that's an important thing. Again, I mentioned it before. I'm going to talk about it in a minute as it has to do with working on a business model. You're going to see why that's even more important in numbers. You know how to calculate the average sale. That's taking the whole daily sales receipts and divide it by the number of transactions. And that gives you your average sale. We need to know that. We need to use that in the context of increasing sales. And you know my feelings about counting traffic. You have to start that. If you're listening to this webinar in the morning, you've got to start it this afternoon. If you're listening to it late in the evening, you've got to start it first thing in the morning. Let's work on a business model together, so you get the gist of how this works. For those of you who are looking for something that I've written on this topic, you can easily go to retailmakeover.ca and go onto our website. And through our e-docs that we've written, which are in the in-store or shop area of our menu on our website, you can easily download this and have a more written, detailed version. I'm just going to give you a synopsis. Let's say that for our business model year, so we've already set the, we've looked at yearly sales the year before, and we are now wanting to set the 20% onto that. So again, it's all about just making it easy for us to look at numbers together. You do your own numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. Last year's sales for this store model were $1 million. All right? Don't be concerned if it's too high for yours. It's just a number I've picked, okay? So we want to increase the sales by 20%. 20% of 1 million is 200,000, which will bring our current year sales target to $1,200,000. All right? So eventually, through calculation and the amount of days that we're open and looking at monthly and weekly sales, we come to an agreement after doing that we approximately have, we need to do, let's say, $4,000 a day. All right? Okay. I don't know exactly how many days you're open, but again, just I want you to go through all of this with me and then agree and fall on the $4,000 for our daily sales target that we have calculated. Now, how many staff members do we have working in this store model? Okay, so I'm going to say we have 4 staff working in the store today. But how do we set the goal for each staff? We take the 4 and we divide it into the 4,000, giving each staff member a goal of $1,000. Now, not if, but as soon as, and because the average sale is now being understood as an important analytic, our average sale for this store model, is $100. So what that means is that we then have 4 staff members who have to attain each $1,000 worth of sales, being aware that the average sale is $100. So each of these staff would have to close 10 sales, right? Because we're dividing the 100 into the 1,000. Or we could divide the 100 into the 4,000, meaning the whole store has to close 40 sales, but our 4 staff each are going to be charged with closing 10 sales at the till. Are you with me so far? So that covers everything on this page. Let's keep going. Let's finish this off. How does your add-on sale program come into play here? Do you remember we talked about increasing your sales by 20% year on year? So if we want to continue that thinking, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we challenge our staff. And even though we've put, now you can see how I get better results than even initially planned for, because that 20% was already calculated in the projected sales for this year, and it drilled down to the daily sales expectations. But I'm going to tell your staff that we need to increase sales tomorrow by 20%, even though it's built into the total. And they're going to go, well, how do we do that? And you're going to go, okay, if our average sale is $100, and we want to increase our sales by 20%, trust me, you could try it with 10, with 15, with 20, with 40, but we're working with 20 right now. 20% of our average sale being $100 is $20. So you're going to say to your staff, every time you work with a client today, and as you see the sale building to our average sale, don't stop showing product. Don't start talking about it. Don't show them a lesser price because we start with our best. And don't forget to show them one more product that's worth $20. Now, for many of you, when you work out your own numbers, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to put on my add-on sale program. You may not have the right product. So in other words, what you want is you want accessories that would work beautifully with the main products that you sell. You may also go, oh my gosh, you know what, our average sale is that, but we don't, that's interesting, how does all that work? Does that mean that people buy a lot of different, little things that add up to our average sale, or are they buying one main thing that is our average sale? So you have to know that. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I have a dry throat. You may also have to buy differently for, as I mentioned, your add-on sale program. And where does your add-on sale program fit into the merchandising in the store? You have to make sure that around main products in your store that are then in and around your average sale, that your add-on sale program items are nearby so your staff can grab them. Your staff can grab them and show them to clients. You've got to merchandise your store differently. You have to train your staff for add-on sales. You have to make sure that at your cash counter, just before your customer leaves, and your staff is also trained to show off this particular program, that you have more, in this case, $20 items that you can show the customer before they cash out. I love Pick of the Week. So in other words, my store model here is Barbara's Pick of the Week. What I've selected to put by the cash counter is products that I love, that add up to my add-on sale program, which in this case is $20, and I make sure that I show these products to customers before they check out with enthusiasm and getting them all excited as to why it's a good idea they need to have this product. And you need to teach your staff to do this as well. So your add-on sales program is strategic. It goes against the increase that you want. And remember, one interaction at a time, one customer at a time. There's no other way you are going to increase your sales. So just embrace that, okay? Your staff absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, has to show ownership in your business. You not only have to hire staff that displays ownership, but you have to request. Here's an interesting thing to put in your next ad. Advertise for ownership by saying this: you, working for us and as a successful candidate, must have a strong sense of ownership, which drives you to find ways to do things better, faster, and cheaper. When was the last time you put an ad together requesting staff to come for an interview to see you with that kind of determined focus on ownership? I promise you, when you do this, you will see a difference. When you request your staff taking more ownership in your business, you will see a difference because your staff will behave more like you than they ever have before. Okay? Now, conversion rates are really, really important to you, and I want to share that with you in regards to, we're going to review that again, please. You're going to count who's coming in. You are going to look at how many people are purchasing from you, and you are going to do your own conversion rates. And yes, you're going to do them daily, all right? I should be able to come into your store and ask you all kinds of questions, but your conversion rate is clear. There it is. Average conversion rates in Canada right now are actually they're like that in all of North America. They are in and around 40%, which is not enough for you to make a living. It's not enough for your business model. Where I need you to be is probably in and around 60 to 75% conversion. Remember, when you look at it from the point of view of a consumer, how much effort did they take to come into your store? They took a lot of effort. You know, they had to park their car, they had to get off a bus, they had to do one of many different things, you know, maybe park their bike. But all of a sudden, all their efforts have brought you into their store. They're not there, interestingly enough, just to look around, as many of them say they are. They're open to buy. What happens in your store, whether it's now or another time, is really the entire experience is in your hands, and I want to leave that with you, okay? What do I mean by increasing sales through FaceTime with customers? Well, that's an important thing to understand. You, more than anyone in your business, understands when the traffic is highest, whether it's in the morning, in the afternoon, you know, morning in the middle, whether, again, you know, whether it's mid-afternoon. You know, also considerations such as, oh my gosh, you know, so many times we have closed the store and we see people wanting to come into the store. You as an owner would probably open the doors and welcome the customer in with open arms. Make sure your staff does too. Make sure that all this is recorded and you share FaceTime or the most important times to be on alert when most of your customers come in during the day. And during those times, yourself and your staff should be focused on customers because obviously they're your lifeline. They're the The customer is always the most important person in the room when they're in your store, aren't they? Focus in on your customer. Be there for them 100% when they're in your store. Designate those times. Make sure that your staff is aware of those times as well. So we move through, and I want to share with you why a point of sale system is a good idea. You can see yourself in this. The 6 signs you need a point of sale system. You want to increase sales. Why wouldn't you want to do that? You need a system that can support you in understanding this. You spend too much time managing inventory. I can't imagine that you're still doing all of this manually because it's just too painful for me. It's not efficient. You cannot grow your business if you are stuck in that type of record keeping. Your manual system is driving you crazy. Your staff is spending too much time on paperwork. Away from the sales floor and customers. You don't know which 20% of your customers are giving you or doing 80% of the buying. You don't know what is selling and what isn't. I've got 7 more signs you need a point of sale system. Very specifically, your current data from your cash register is inaccurate and incomplete. Your inventory is completely out of hand. You have no idea whether your marketing strategies are working. You need to track inventory in another location. You have huge shrinkage and don't know why. You cannot generate timely reports that help you make good business decisions. You have too much of what your customers don't want and not enough of what they do want. Let's take a look at margins, ladies and gentlemen, together. And let's see how the tips I'm going to share with you can help you improve them and your profits. Now, we know what margins are. Let me just review that with you. So that is what you paid for your product. The margins are really the difference between what you've paid for the product and what you're selling it at. And profits are built into, when we go to the Open to Thrive system, you'll see how your positive cash flow, which is really your profit, comes out of understanding how to systemize further your business. Yes, computerized systems help you review numbers, absolutely, and here I'm recommending that you do have that. Carry what your competitors don't have. You need to be out there on a fairly regular basis, and if you're too recognizable in your, again, marketplace, ladies and gentlemen, send out staff if they're not that recognizable, or get a dedicated person to go out and see what's happening in your marketplace as it has to do with your competitors. You need to know. But you can easily check them out on their Facebook. You can easily check them out on their websites, and you need to know what they're doing as well in those areas. You need to seek out below wholesale pricing. Now, this is about asking your the reps, the companies you deal with, the suppliers, to give you best pricing. To see what deals there are within their product mix that can help you have better margins. So you can either take those margins, those higher margins, to yourself because you've gotten better prices, or you can use them as part of your promotional strategy and then roll the best pricing over to your customer and make it more attractive for them to shop at your store. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to buy closer to the season, meaning stop buying for an entire year where you can easily buy just before a season starts so that your money is less tied up for a longer period of time before you're again, you've changed how you're spending your money. Perhaps not, because you're going to be buying closer to the season. But when you can sell the product and get your money back, that really is the important point that I want you to hear about improving margins and improving your profits. And also, I bring this up here because it seems a very natural point, but I see this over and over again when I'm a business coach, is insisting on credits or adjustments for late deliveries and substitute orders. You can't run your business with that kind of interruption, and you need to request for better pricing when that happens. I'm going to take you through a system that you're going to absolutely love. This is going to give you control of your business. I call it, it has been called for over 20 years now, the Retail Makeover Open to Thrive system. Let me introduce it to you. This system, the OTT system, we're going to abbreviate it there, helps maintain correct inventory levels. It's a great way to plan purchases. It's easy to understand. It's easy to use. And I specifically want to underline that it right-sizes your business against sales. And too many of you are planning your buying, your operating costs are mounting, and you don't know how to right size it against sales. I'm here to share that with you. So we've got 3 percentages in the OTT system. We have 55%, we have 40%, and we have 5%. Let's see what all that means. First is, let's look at your buying budgets. Many of you are overbuying. Many of you are overbuying. Matter of fact, one of the main things that you do is buy, and you don't realize the stresses you're putting on your business. You're wondering why your debt repayment is so high, why you're constantly looking for money to bring into the business to cover operating costs if you don't have a system. Let me gift this to you. What you do when you set your buying budgets is you review sales actuals from the past year. Then you set your sales targets for the year. Remember, we're going to set our sales targets with a minimum of a 20% increase. Then what you have is you have your total buying budget for the year, by month, by category, by item, by vendor, by calculating 55% of sales. Are there any of those control items? By multiplying it by 55%. Why wouldn't you want to do this? So let's work on a business model together, get you in the flow of this, okay? So again, let's work with lesser numbers, okay? Let's look at, we've set sales targets for the coming year, this year that you're in. Just going to use it really easy, $100,000. You're going to have to work on your own numbers, but I'm not there beside you. Here, work on this with me now. If you set your sales targets for the year to be a total of $100,000, by multiplying this by 55% and knowing that the OTT method works, we've set the buying budget for this business model at $55,000. Already, you can't believe how easy this is. Calculating what the sales target is going to be for any given month in this calendar year, and then multiplying it by 55%, making sure you have clearly put an increase year on year into the month, you've got your buying budget by month. Look at sales by category year on year, and then adding the increase, the 20%, and then multiplying that by 55% gives you your buying budget, your control within that category. Interesting. Do that for each item too, exactly the same way, year on year the item, because maybe you want an increase, right, on the item sales because you're going to promote it differently. You're going to spend more time being much more mindful of training your staff to sell items. You calculate that by 55% and you've got that budget. How about by vendor? Do the same thing. How much did you buy from the vendor, or did you sell through that particular vendor? Bring it to this year at 20% and calculate it by multiplying the 55% of sales that represents. Ladies and gentlemen, that this is a very, very easy system to follow, and it is now a tool for you. The only other thing I need you to consider is that when you buy, it's to sell your product for, making sure it fits into this formula. If you buy a product for $1, what do you sell it for? Excuse me, the OTT system allows you to start as low as 2.2 and run all the way through times 3. So most of you, if not all of you, are going to be within that pricing strategy. You know, the odd product where you move and beyond 3 because of the perceived value of the product, don't worry about that. That would mean that the majority of your product is being covered by the Open to Thrive system, and you are now a happy person because you have control. Let's look at operating costs as it has to do with the Open to Thrive system. 40% of sales. Well, what does that mean? You cannot go over and be higher than 40% of sales for your operating costs within the business model that I'm sharing with you. So it's right sizing again, operating costs against sales. Could you please review each of your expenses? I want you to contact all the service providers that are involved in your operating costs and make sure that there isn't a way to do things cheaper, very specifically if you find your operating costs are higher than 40% of your sales. What's your goal here? Your goal here is to reduce as many costs as you can and make them fit. I'm thinking of a few things to share with you here because, again, when I review numbers with clients, and if indeed their operating costs are higher than 40% and there is truly nothing that we can do to reduce those expenses, the only thing that I can recommend, and it has to happen, is that sales are increased to cover these expenses that are higher than the 40% model. So that changes the dynamics of and makes the 40% right again. All right? You can notice by what I'm teaching you that I'm not a big supporter of going to the bank to cover buying your product, going to the bank, and covering operating costs. It's not that I don't believe in having operating monies. I do believe that, and you do need help, and we do need access to money if we don't have it readily available, and that will be money that obviously we'll have to pay interest on. But I'm trying to give you a system here that gives you more control of your business. There isn't a better one than this. Positive cash flow has everything to do with the final percentage. And interestingly enough, the reason I've put this little tagline here is this can also be called technically your profit, and that's 5% of sales. Over the many years that I've been teaching the Open to Thrive system, my clients have embraced it, and then within the year more often than not, they are on this track where they see a 5% positive cash flow, which is again right down at their bottom line, and they are happy. I'm excited that you're going to start working on this. Let me know how you're doing. Let's look at some marketing. I'm going to ask you the question right up front. How balanced is your marketing portfolio? How many different investments do you have in your marketing portfolio, and how well are they working for you? Many of you go in one way, one direction, and really don't sit back and review how things are working. But remember, we're now going to be tracking your conversion rates. So if that door isn't opening, if things that you're doing aren't working, you get to change direction. But I promise you that I'm going to give you some really inexpensive ways to use your marketing budget, which is calculated at 5% of sales. That's a question I'm asked often. Here's a quick and easy way to find out whether your marketing portfolio is working for you. I want you first to draw a circle on a piece of paper, then divide it into segments. And you're going to write down one marketing investment in each section. Couldn't be easier. This is what I'd like to share with you. Here are some suggestions. All of you should have these in your marketing portfolio. And if you don't, that means you're happy with what is in your portfolio currently, then what you're going to do is you're going to obviously your pie that is split up into various sections is going to be much larger than what I recommended on the front of the page. I'm going to show you things that are low cost, no cost way of bringing clients into your store that you know and clients that you don't know, which by the way are the only two clients that there are, those two. What does networking help? How does that help? That really is set up against your energy going out into the community, working with groups and organizations that you want to get involved with, that you then are able to communicate as well what it is you do within the community and the products and services that you sell. So put networking into your portfolio and start making it happen for you. I promise you it's a good idea, and you will find new clients this way. All right? Let's look at e-newsletters. Ladies and gentlemen, this, I want you to write it down and say, remind yourself that Barbara said this is the number one way to get our message out there and is the number one marketing tool that we have at our disposal. Now, what does all this mean? We all know what newsletters are, but e-newsletters are really email newsletters. That's what they are. It's interesting, as it's the number one tool that retailers have, it's also the number one requested way that consumers, through studies, are asking for information from the retailers they shop at to get information. So it's a win-win situation. So how do we get this done? Many of you are probably thinking about spam. I'm here to tell you that I have found a company. They're called Constant Contact. What they do is they solve the problem of spam. What they do is solve the problem of newsletter formatting because they have that for you. They will help you. They have customer service reps that will help you put your newsletter together. All you have to do is go onto our site, retailmakeover.ca, and on the front page, the home page, you will see at the bottom a link into Constant Contact. I want you to click there, and you will get a free trial. You will get the full experience of using Constant Contact, and you will absolutely love it. The missing component here is what to say and how often to say it, and why you would even write these newsletters. Staying in Interesting. Constant contact with your customer changes their buying habits, changes their shopping patterns, and that's what you want to do. You want to make that front door open more often, ladies and gentlemen. All right? This newsletter will do it. 1 to 4 events every single month will have you sharing with them why it's a good idea to come to your store. Now, don't be daunted by this. For those of you who don't do events right now, and they're not sales, ladies and gentlemen, later on we're going to be I'm going to teach you how to write your promotional calendar, and you will start to see all of the different things that you can consider as events, and that you then can get behind and share with your customer through e-newsletters. So 1 to 4 events. Every time you have an event, you get to send out a new newsletter. I get asked this all the time. How many times can I send out a newsletter, an email to my clients? You can't send them something that isn't new. You send it out once, done with it, unless it's a reminder and that you only have so many days left and the sale will be over or the product will be gone. That's a good way to do the reminder and people not be annoyed. But you can't send the same thing 4 times in a row. It has to be something different. So nothing different, just do it based on sending out news. Okay? What else can I share with you about email marketing? I guess the number one thing that comes to mind is that I get asked, Barbara, how do I get people's contact information, and will they give it to me? The answer is yes, if you do the following things. The first mistake that most businesses make is they don't even ask. So, that's catastrophe right there. So, start asking your customer for their contact information and know that they want to share it with you. Will everybody share it with you? The answer is no, they won't. But will the majority of people? Yes, they will. But you have to do the following things. You can't be inconsistent. You have to train your staff to ask for customers' emails consistently. And by the way, if your staff is showing any resistance to this idea, because remember they're part of this brand new way of communicating through newsletters with your clients, if you're not doing this currently, I recommend that you offer them $1 for every name and contact information that your team is able to collect for you. There's quite a difference in the way your staff behaves once that dollar comes out on the table. They love the thought of earning extra money. Let's go back to the customer in this scenario. Mistake number 3, I've given you the first 2. If there's no value exchange, so here's what I'm suggesting. The majority of businesses that do ask for email don't operate with a standard script. You're going to have a standard script. The request for email comes as an afterthought or as an apology. My boss made me ask you. Attitude. From the person behind the cash register, this won't work. In other words, when customers do not see value in the way they're asked, they automatically say no. Let's minimize that. Mistake number 4, an unclear promise. When you ask someone to give you their email, they're immediately firing off a set of internal questions. Why do you want my email? What's in it for me? Will you spam me? No matter what the size of your operation, ladies and gentlemen, asking for emails with a simple script that offers a clear promise of value often diffuses customers' concerns. So, let's get started. For example, you can say, would you like to join our online newsletter and specials club? Would you like a free subscription to our online updates and discount club? Would you like instant access to unadvertised specials and customer-only updates. Of all the ones that I've just recommended, I think the last one makes a lot of sense. Let's get started there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to set a goal for you that on just collecting people's contact information, that you are going to look at doing 5 to 10 a day. Let's see how you do. And within a given year, you are going to have over 1,000 people on your newsletter. Of course, you have to write the newsletter. You have to make sure that it connects with your promotional planning. But that's work for you to do. You've made a commitment to spend 20% of your given week working on marketing your business. You're going to love that. Let's look at the referral program. I promised you that when we looked at reports, and now we're going to specifically review that together. I just lost my piece of paper there. Okay. I've placed the referral program onto our website, and there you can easily download it. I've written it in such a way that it's a letter that you're going to send to you or make available both in store by the cash. You're going to review it with your staff so they know what the referral program is, and you're going to post it on your website. You are going to post it regularly on your newsletter, and you are going to also post it on all your social media activities. So the referral program is based on your existing clients, those 20% of your clients that give you 80% of your business. They're your fans. Up to now, many of them refer your business, and you have called it word of mouth. And so they have talked about your business, of course, because they love you, but now we are going to call it and get our customers, those ones that love you, the fans, involved in your referral program. What would you pay for a new customer to walk in the door? The referral program covers this. It says thank you to your existing, gracious, fully supportive customer by saying to them, be part of my referral program moving forward, and I will give you so many in-store dollars to spend in my store as a thank you. What is that figure going to be? I'd like you to look at your average sale and start to think, okay, I'm going to give you a number here. My average sale is $100. Would I give someone $50 for bringing me in a new client that's going to stay with me for a long, long period of time because I have a really good track record of keeping clients for long periods of time? $50 might be too hefty. Would someone, when your average sale is $100, would they be happy with the $25 in-store dollar? Referral program, thank you. I'm going to say they would be ecstatic. Matter of fact, I'm here to tell you that they would be ecstatic on a 10 to 15 in-store dollar referral program. Thank you. All right? So you see how I'm giving you these options. You're going to test several options and see what works for you. Remember, retail is the perfect place to use this 4-letter word that I love, which is testing things out. Referral program is a really low-cost, no-cost way to you to bring in new clients. Networking new clients, email newsletter, existing clients coming in more often based on your newsletter schedule and promotional calendar. Referral program brings in new clients. Interesting, we're starting to see how we can do this, and you need to do this work. You need to make all these programs part of what you do in your marketing portfolio. Social media, embrace it 100%. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Pinterest. What is in your portfolio? What is working? What isn't? It's interesting. I'm going to put something out to you here, ladies and gentlemen. How do we know what's working, what isn't? It's part of your strategy when clients come into your store to ask them how it is that you have the pleasure of them being in your store today. I would say that most of you don't. And that is wrong. Customer comes into your store, you need to ask them, how is it that we have the pleasure of your being in our store today, and listen to what they have to say. I was walking by, I saw your storefront. I was across the street, I noticed your sign. I noticed what you sell. Brandon told me to come in, ask about the referral program, right? I saw you online. I saw you on Facebook. You invited me to come in. Find out what is working. How does testimonials fit into your portfolio? I should be able to go onto your website and see a slew of testimonials. There's also reviews on Google, Facebook, and Yelp that speak to people talking about you in glowing terms of the services and products that you offer consumers. Testimonials, embrace them, make them part of your portfolio. Again, testimonials, what they do is they encourage new customers to have a look at you. Number 6 speaks directly. It should be in your portfolio. I'm going to tell you why in a moment. But let's talk about what it is. Cause marketing. All of you, ladies and gentlemen, I know are asked to give donations. You're going to stop doing it the way you've been doing them. You're either going to look for a cause that you're going to make this idea work with, or the next time a cause walks into the door and says, we would like a donation from you, you're going to say, love to help you, but we're doing this in a whole different way. You're going to send a joint letter. You're going to say this to the cause, whether it's one you select and call or in contact or one that walks in the door. We together are going to send a letter to your membership, the cause's membership, and ask for them to participate in this unique way of generating money for the cause. Please go to this retailer's place of business. And for every dollar that you spend in his store for his services and products, that retailer will give us back to our cause 10% of what you spend there. Really good use of your marketing dollars. What does it really cost you to do that? It doesn't cost you anything until the person buys. And again, when we look at effective marketing, what's in your portfolio and what's working and what's not working, cause marketing works, ladies and gentlemen. In the next quarter, I'm going to give you the homework that you have to connect with the cause and start working this particular marketing strategy. Okay? Gosh, you'd hardly think that we would need to say that your website needs to be part of your marketing portfolio, but many of you have lost your way. You begrudgingly paid money to have a website constructed for you, and then you are not actively, I mentioned this again on the next slide, you're not actively participating in updating it and keeping it fresh. You have to do this. So for those of you who are still struggling whether you should have a website or not, understand that opportunities are passing you by. You must invest in this part of having strong marketing tools in your portfolio. Struggling? Perhaps maybe your website's not working. Maybe perhaps you don't even know how to analyze whether your website is working or not. Please contact us here at Retail Makeover. It would be our pleasure to look at your website or to give you website advice. Okay? We've been doing this now here for over 5 years as part of our services, and we're very anxious to hear from you if you're having problems in this area. Now, you know my feelings about number 8. We've already touched that as it had to do with social media. And and reviews actually and testimonials. And actually that's where it fits the most. And now we're going to look at traditional marketing. I never, ever look at getting rid of traditional marketing when I'm working with a retailer unless they don't know if it's working or not. So what is typically under traditional marketing? We have things like putting ads in local print newspaper, perhaps putting ads in glossy magazines that are local to the area. Unless you can answer this directly to me today, Barb, we ask everyone that comes in, we ask them how they found us, we ask them why they're there today in our store, and we know that the print is working. We know that those magazines bring in customers. You're golden then. You will continue traditionally marketing and using the marketing tools there that we have identified here for you. But if you can't answer that, you've got to stop doing it. You've got to stop using traditional marketing, whether it's in print, radio's the same. It costs a lot of money to advertise in radio. We can only know if it's working if we ask customers if they've come in because they heard us on the radio. If you're advertising on TV, promise me that you are asking your customers how they came in. You understand how I feel about this, and I have your best interest at heart. So to finish this off, you're going to give yourself a score from 1 to 10 on how well each of one of these marketing strategies is working in your portfolio. Okay, 10 is the best. You add up your totals and your score. If you've got 9 in your portfolio, would be 90. If you've got more numbers in your portfolio, obviously you're scoring it out of a higher number. I'm going to touch just in a very concrete way. I've talked about most of these things, but must-dos for you in your marketing strategy. Your promotional calendar, 1 to 4 events each month. An absolute must, ladies and gentlemen. You have nothing to talk about if you don't have a promotional calendar. It's the backbone of your business. Your website, updated regularly and effectively with analytics viewed weekly. For those of you who are struggling to understand what the analytics mean, or for those of you who don't even know how to source your analytics, you're contacting us today and we're going to help you. You're engaged in e-commerce. This is not a choice anymore. This is a reality. Even your best customer is still shopping online. Perhaps maybe not shopping your product because they're satisfied, but why wouldn't you want them to shop your product after you've closed the doors? Huge misunderstanding here about bricks and mortar as it has to do with e-commerce. It is a combination now, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going away. You have to embrace, you personally have to, as a business person, engage in e-commerce, and it starts now. I want you to look at your product, test a group of products, put it onto your website. You know, I'm going to fingers crossed that you have a website. You see how all that works? You're going to put the grouping of product on there. You're going to test it. And, of course, you're going to connect it to wanting people to pay for it. Aha, this brings in this whole idea of click and collect or click and ship. Many of you do not want to expand your e-commerce site past your own footprint, your own marketplace. So the click and collect model is fantastic because it doesn't require shipping. For those of you who go, Barbara, the world's, the world, not the sky's the limit, the world's the limit. We want to send our product out beyond our marketplace boundaries, right? And, okay, perfect. We're embracing shipping as well. But let me explain to you this phenomena that has grown over the last several years about click and collect. This takes a customer, whether they've searched you, online and been introduced to you that way the first time, or you're telling them both in store and on your website and on your social media to go to your e-commerce area of your business. They click on that, they go to it, they look at what you are offering them, they pay for it, and they come to your store to collect it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't noticed, these new business models are coming and they're coming fast. IKEA has a brand new business service being offered, the click and collect, and they have depots now where you will go, and they're not like an IKEA store. They are connected to you going onto their website for you purchasing the product, clicking away, paying for it, and collecting it at these depots, which will give you access to IKEA product much more readily, because guess what? They have found out, as other businesses, like even Amazon is testing, these collecting depots, these collection depots, where that will reduce their operating costs because they won't have to ship directly to your home, directly to your address, where you then go and collect at the depot after you've clicked and paid for it. Click and collect will work for you, ladies and gentlemen. Embrace it. Get that started. I want to thank you so much for being with me for part one. I want you to take a break. We've been working together now for almost 2 hours. And, after you've had a break, had a bit of a rest, why don't you join me for part two? So in the meantime, I want to thank you. I'm here for you. I want to get the business you want and deserve. I want that for you. Let me help you. See you real soon.